Ryan, what are you doing?
Judy, I'm getting ready for fall.
Ryan, you know what you should be getting ready for? A new episode of Garden Time.
Welcome to Garden Time. And yes, it's fall and it's time to get our yards ready for winter.
And for some of our viewers, it may be time to call our friends at Bartlett Tree Experts to take a look at their trees before winter.
Coming up in the show today, I'll be talking with Jan about our monthly tips.
We'll also be talking about fall hydrangea care.
But coming up first, some great plants for fall and winter interest. Well, it's a beautiful fall day. I'm out here with Carol. We're out in the garden nursery. Carol, we have some really great fall plants for some fall interest, some fall blooms, some early winter blooms. And looks like you got some of your favorites out
We've
here.
got a little bit of everything. Yeah, I actually have lots and lots of winter interest plants, but we have got some good fall stuff too. So we'll start with the cyclamens down front. This is cyclamen heterofolium. They're just finishing blooming now, and then the beautiful foliage will come out for the rest of the season. They'll be here through at least April. And then next to them are the combs. They're coming up. The foliage is a little smaller, a little more delicate, and they'll put up similar flowers in January. So that's a really nice one, and there's I have lots of different foliage on those. So they're really wonderful for front of the shade border for winter through spring.
Okay, and then you also have, some grasses,
And then,
which are great for...
you all know I love ornamental grasses. So I have lots and lots of carex. This is Ever Oro, and then there's Eversheen. There's a bunch of new ones that are nice. They're beautiful container plants. They look wonderful all year round, part to full shade. In the winter, they could take a lot of a sunnier spot because they don't like the hot sun, but winter sun would be fine. But they're really, really wonderful. And then another fun carex that doesn't get seen a lot, this is Carex Sparkler. You can see it as a totally different habit. Most of the carex are like this. They're really moundy. This one is evergreen depending on the winter and your garden, so don't count on it for evergreen, but it's just so spectacular. It has such a different habit, I had it included in.
And then, another great grass that
Yeah, this is a fun one. This is a variegated pampas grass, and as it's come up this year through the season, it's just gotten more and more beautiful. They didn't bloom this year, but this foliage is fantastic. So this is one of the few this is the only sun lover I have in this group today. But this will take full sun, dry, and it's evergreen.
And it's super durable.
Really tough.
Yeah. And then some other good fall interest ones are evergreen ones. Looks like you have a hellebore over there.
Yes, we have a hellebore. So this is part of the Frost Kiss series. They don't have the huge array of colors like some of the Orientals, but look at the foliage.
Right.
But they're very prolific. They have big flowers that they hold in big clusters. They're mostly in whites and purples, but they are fantastic. And this foliage, to have that all year round, who cares if they blooms?
Right. And then another great foliage one is the Akuba.
The Akuba, yeah. This is Mr. Goldstrike. And this is another fun dry shade. They'll get about 6 feet tall and wide. They're very easy. They're very forgiving. Plus that gold's going to really brighten up a shady spot.
And then another ones that are great for shade to have the early blooms are the Sarcoccus.
The Sarcoccus. So I have 3 different ones. The one in the back, this is Ruscifolia. It tends to be a little taller and more open. And then this is Fragrant Mountain and Fragrant Valley. So this is a 2 to 3 high and wide. This is like a 1.5 to 2 feet high and wide. They all have beautiful fragrant flowers. I mean, you don't see the flowers, but the fragrance is amazing in January and February. These have a much more compact habit. This is much more open.
Yeah, I have some of these by my walkway.
Yeah,
and it's just when they're coming up, it's just that.
It's fantastic
first sign
to
of
walk
spring.
through
It
the
just
garden
like
and
smacks
smell
you in the
these.
face.
It's wonderful.
And then there's a lot of great ferns that will stay green.
There is
year-round too.
So this is one of the Hart's Tongue Asplenium. This one is cristatum. Look at those beautiful cut edges. It's a smaller plant. They'll get a little bigger than they are now, but they're not a huge plant, but they're evergreen. Another great container plant for winter. You can't go wrong with the Hart's Tongue.
Right, it just has that great, focal point foliage to it.
They're fantastic.
And then this little guy that's, blooming this time
And
of
that
year.
one's,
Here it is.
this is
It's
another
October.
really fun end of the season. This is an Actea. They used to be Simicifugas. This is white pearl. They literally have just opened in the last couple days. They're fragrant. They're a late September, October bloomer. And on a cold day you don't get them, but like a warm afternoon like today, you'll start getting the fragrance as you walk through the garden.
So there's just, so much that you can be looking at and planting in your yard now.
Absolutely.
Things that you don't think of during the spring when you're inundated
Right,
with
we
everything
have
else.
such a great climate. You should have something beautiful in your garden every month of the blooming or looking amazing every month of the year.
And you guys are still open?
We are open through the end of October.
Okay. And then, you open, I think you said
We're
five or
open
6 days a week?
Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 4, or by appointment. Give us a call if you want to come some other time.
And then they can go onto your Facebook page to get more information. It's a good.
Yep, and see some of the things that's going on and some of the specials we have going on right now too.
Right. And your gardens are open, and
They're
still
always open. There's always tables in the garden if you want to bring a picnic.
So which is always great to see the plants, how they're growing in the
exactly.
native areas. So Carol, it's always a pleasure to be out here. So make sure you go to gardentime.tv and we'll click you over to Carol's site, and come on out. You have the rest of the month to get plants in the ground. Things are looking good, and you still have a great selection. So Carol, it's always a pleasure to be out here and always to see what you have up your sleeve.
Thanks for coming, Ryan.
Garden Time is brought to you by Portland Nursery, a passion for plants, a nursery for plant people.
Is your garden in need of refreshment? Hi, I'm Sarah, and there are plenty of things in bloom at Portland Nursery. Come check out our beautiful fall color to perk up your garden. At Portland Nursery, we consider fall the second season, and the gardening opportunities are endless. Establish next year's trees, replace lettuce and greens, or get a jump on onions and garlic. Portland Nursery, a passion for plants, a nursery for plant people, on 50th and Stark and 90th and Division, or at portlandnursery.com.
Every year, trees fall or break, causing property damage, power outages, and injury.
Now is the time for Bartlett Tree Experts and Collier Arbor Care to get your trees ready for the extreme conditions ahead.
Our free consultation will help to spot the signs of potentially hazardous trees.
We can help address problems before they occur. Whether it's trees or shrubs, we can help you get a healthy and beautiful garden.
Collier Arbor Care and Bartlett Tree Experts, providing environmentally safe tree care since 1907.
Build a beautiful home inside and out at French Prairie Perennials. Inside, we have just the right creative elements to complete your decor. We offer an oasis of unusual, nature-inspired garden and home gifts and accessories. Outside, choose from our wide selection of unique dwarf conifers and sparkling companion plants. French Prairie Perennials, located between Woodburn and Wilsonville. Take exit 278 to Aurora and French Prairie Perennials.
The biggest sale of the year is on now. Huge savings on perennials, trees and shrubs, pottery, patio furniture, and more. Don't miss it. Our biggest sale of the year is on now. Al's Garden and Home in Woodburn, Sherwood, Gresham, and Wilsonville.
It's a beautiful fall morning, and I'm at Sugawa Nursery up in Woodland, Washington. And Carlene, you have these beautiful, kind of traditional fall plants here.
Yes, we do. The frost isn't quite on the pumpkin yet, but we're thinking about transitioning our summer and fall baskets into more of a winter look with plants that can take a little bit of rain and can take a little bit of frost as well. So in thinking about that and that transition, we do have the more traditional mums that you're going to see, and the pansies and the ornamental peppers, and those are great. Those still work well for us, but we can also think a little bit outside of the box too when we think about our baskets for more winter interest or something different. Maybe you don't want mums this year. So here we've prepared some baskets that we might hang or sell here in the store. We have some pansies, we've got heather, which you might not think about, but it's great because it's small, it's flowering this time of the year, excellent sort of evergreen foliage. When the basket fades, you can take it out and put it in your garden. So it's a great, great way to go. And then of course the beautiful pansies and all the different colors. If you want color for the winter garden, pansies is a place to start outside of mums.
Definitely.
Yes. And then we also have some really small ornamental that looks great in a hanging basket. It's small still, it won't outgrow this size this season, so it's great to place there. And also, you know what, why not throw a gourd in, right? And have fun with it. If you've grown gourds, you want to show them off, put them in your basket as well.
Oh, fun. And then what on this third one? What's that big leafy plant?
It's a heuchera.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it does well in the shade. It's going to take some rain. It's, you know, hardy in our zone, so it's going to look beautiful in your basket almost all winter long.
And so if we come and we need some ideas, you guys can help.
Yes, we would love to help you design your baskets. You know, give us your color palette, what you want to see at your house, and we can make so many suggestions, probably too many suggestions for you. But yes, we can help.
Right. So this is the place to come for fall baskets, fall containers, Sugawa Gardens, Sugawa Nursery up in Woodland, Washington. It's not that far. Please go to the Garden Time website. We'll click you over. You can find the directions and come and see Carlene and the staff and have some beautiful fall interest at your home.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank you.
Well, we have a couple fall fun projects to do to decorate up your front porch. You know, a lot of us, put the pumpkins out on the porch, but this kind of elevates it to the next step.
It sure is. And so we have two different kind of projects. And so Ryan, I think you should start yours first.
Yeah, so what I'm doing is I'm just taking a regular old pumpkin, I'm leaving it whole, not carving it out. And what we're doing is we're decorating it with succulents. So the couple different routes you can do. I've chosen succulents. These are all hardy sedums and sempervirens that I harvested from work at Little Prince. We grow and sell these to lots of different garden centers, or you have a lot of them in your yard. So these are kind of nice because you can decorate the outside of the pumpkin and leave it out during the cold weathers. You can also do them with, the indoor succulents or the tillandsias. But for today's project, we're going to use the hardy ones. So what we started with is, putting down just a little bit of moss. You can find the moss, sometimes in the yard, or you can get them at like your craft store or the independent garden centers will carry little bags of this. And this we just kind of hot glued. We got our hot glue gun here, and we just kind of tacked these down a little bit. And this kind of makes a nice little kind of a bed to start gluing this onto. And so what we've done, and so this is like a little semperviren, a little hen and chick that we've harvested out of the yard. They put off these lots of little babies. What we want to do is we'll kind of just cut off the bottom roots. We're not worried about keeping those roots on. So we'll just kind of trim those off like this. And then we'll just kind of put a little dollop of hot glue on there. Like that. And then we will just start tucking these in throughout there. So I've chosen lots of different, different colors, different styles. And I also like to do a lot of like little, the little dangly things. So there's like this little sedum red wiggle has kind of this fun color. So I'll just, glue these up like this, stick those in there, and then we can just kind of tuck these in. And it's kind of fun to have this just dribble down. And the glue just sticks and dries pretty quickly. So while I'm finishing up mine and getting a little decorated, I'll throw it over to you, Judy, and you can show us your project of what you're doing.
All right. So mine is just a little bit more messy than Ryan's. So we're actually going to cut into this pumpkin. So I'm using one of those jack-o'-lantern carving knives. It's really nice on these hard-shelled pumpkins. And so you just kind of go around and then you lift off the top and kind of make a space big enough for your plant. And of course, yes, there's going to be seeds like that. You could just cut them. You could, if you want to roast them, you can take all the guts out and then clean them and then roast these seeds, or you can just leave them in there. We're going to kind of make this as easy as possible. You want to put a little bit of soil in there, and we're using black gold, just all-purpose soil, and just kind of put that in there because we're using this like a container, like you would do any of the pretty containers that you have on your front porch, but we're going to use the shell of the pumpkin. And then we got this really nice little seasonal mum at Independent Garden Center. I'm just going to roughen up all those roots, and we're going to plant it right into that pumpkin. And look at that. It's just about done. I'm going to finish up dressing up my project, and Ryan, you're going to finish up yours.
I'm going to finish attaching mine, and we'll be done here in a minute, and we'll show you the finished product. So now that we have it all decorated up, in a finished product the way you like it, this guy can be left out on the porch all fall. And so what will happen is, as the pumpkin starts to rot later this fall or winter, you can just lift this entire moss thing with all of the succulents left on there and just go plant it either in the yard or in pot, because these will continue to draw moisture through the air and they'll start to root and grow, which is super fun.
And so with mine, I just kind of finished the edge with a little bit of that same moss just to kind of make it just a little more decorative. And if you had a bigger pumpkin, you could put more plants, would be lovely. Because at your independent garden center, they are loaded with lots of fall interest plants. And then when this pumpkin begins to rot, and it'll be a little quicker than Ryan's, you can just take the plants out and plant them in a container or in your garden and compost the pumpkin.
So we hope this gives you a couple good ideas of how to elevate your pumpkin to the next level.
At Blooming Junction, fall isn't about winding down, it's about getting ready. In the garden, start the next season off right now. Fall plantings produce healthier, more robust, and drought-tolerant plants than those planted in spring or summer. In the kitchen, get ready for the holidays with fresh, organically grown produce from our fields. So, whether it's for the garden or for the kitchen this season, Blooming Junction is your place for quality, uncommon plants and produce for your home and garden.
Don't let the cold and wet get you this winter. Warm up to a season of heat with Grimm's Fuel. Grimm's has plenty of wood and heating oil ready to deliver to keep you warm all winter long. Stay warm and cozy with Grimm's Fuel.
A destination farm and garden market featuring the very best each season has to offer. Smith Berry Barn offers seasonal farm fresh fruits and vegetables and specialty herbs and perennials. Visit the historic barn for distinctive gifts, gourmet foods, and homemade milkshakes.
Currently available, multiple varieties of apples and pears.
Centrally located off of Shoals Ferry Road between Sherwood and Hillsborough, Smith Berry Barn, growing good taste from the ground up.
Well, it's October. I'm with Jan. That must mean it's time for our tips of the month.
All right.
Jan, what do we need to be doing in our garden this month?
A big long list, but we'll only go for a few.
Yeah.
I did want to show you that I talked about moth traps before, and I got some new ones. These are pheromone traps that are like little tents, and that strip is a pheromone that attracts the male moth. And I put this in my bird seed peanut feeding stuff, and that's
and
how
it
many
obviously
I
is
got.
working very well.
You also can come home with it if you're getting bulk food or bulk bird seed. Sometimes it's not you, it's coming through there.
Right, so it's good to trap.
Here's my assortment of fruit flies from the kitchen. Just
Oh,
half a lemon, some vinegar, and a few drops of dishwashing liquid, and you got them.
And that works great because sometimes they're flying around.
Right,
They're
exactly,
very prolific.
exactly. The other thing, one of the other things to do is remember to dry your put your fertilizers in a dry place, or your not chemicals per se, but granular things,
Right.
because we live in such a humid area, they'll clump on you.
Right, this time of year we got so much moisture.
Keep it in a dry place. The other thing that people worry about is interior browning on evergreens, say cedars or whatever.
Right.
If it's interior, you're okay. It's just drought. It's just they're shedding their interior older leaves. If it's clear to the tip, then you need to look into why.
Do we need to worry about taking those off? I know my I have a Hinoki cypress at home that does that every year, and I just
winter will take it off for you.
Or you just blow your leaf blower
right,
on it.
Whatever seems to work.
Normal, which is
the other thing too is that I've got some apple trees in back, and if you have any mummified fruit that's left over on the tree, take it off and not compost it, but actually get rid of it. Because if you've had any insect problems in those apples, they'll winter over at the base of the tree, and you'll have them again next year. So get rid of all your dropped and mummified fruit.
It was just a good place to harbor all those diseases.
Absolutely,
and insects, and
absolutely.
start clean for the year.
And then a slow release fertilizer for your lawn. If you're going to do any fall fertilizing, it's a good time to keep your lawn healthy through the winter, and it'll be ready to go in the spring.
Right, because we're starting to get the rains now, and after mine's been looking kind of brown all summer long, and it's starting to rejuvenate a little bit.
But it's a slow release. You don't want to put anything that's going to give you a quick action, because you're not really looking for that to mow anymore.
Right.
And the last thing is, I'm really good at stepping on new hostas that are coming up in the spring. So this year I've gone through and we've just marked them with a piece of bamboo. just so that when spring comes and we're raking and stepping around, I'm not going to snap my hostas
Right.
off.
You know, we've done some tips, you know, this time of year on dividing them.
Yeah.
This time year or two or in the spring, so that's a great time to
Sure.
be doing that while you're
Yeah.
digging, dividing, and things are going dormant. So you remember what time
Absolutely.
you're going through.
Absolutely.
So Jan, we noticed the lemon outside, and it actually has a fruit, and so we need to start thinking about what to do with that for the winter, right?
My favorite plant. Yeah. I'm just going to clean it up. I'll redo the top inch or so of potting soil on it to make sure I'm not bringing any insects or eggs in, and clean it up and bring it into the greenhouse for the winter and see how we do. There's one ripe lemon and about 4 or 5 that have potential.
So, you know, Jan, it's always a pleasure to be out here with you and learn, you know, what are we supposed to be doing in our gardens this time,
That's
time
right,
of year.
and you have a good day and happy birthday.
Well, thank you, Jan. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So thanks, you know, that's our tips for the month, and you know, we appreciate being out here. Thank you, Jan.
Be back again.
Well, this time of year, when our gardens are starting to go dormant and asleep for the winter, we want to remember to continue to bait for our slugs. So even though our plants are going dormant, the slugs do not. So what we'll want to do is you can either use like a granular or a bait or some sort of even like a beer trap. We just want to make sure that as the plants are going dormant that we don't forget the bait, because the slugs will continue to eat all winter long. So we can go through, you know, we can just kind of sprinkle some of this around, get underneath the foliage. And then what that'll do, that'll attract the slugs to it. So as there's less foliage, the slugs will come out and continue to eat the bait. So even during the winter time, if we have some nice days, go out and bait, because by taking care of them now, come spring, you'll have less slugs and less problems.
Garden Time is brought to you by Capital Subaru, your way on the Parkway.
Great. And how much cargo room does it have?
Tons. Basically, all of that stuff will fit right here.
Even this guy?
Definitely.
I love it. What's next?
Well, financing can be done online, and if you're ready to test drive, we can bring it to you.
Wow. No wonder everyone told me to go to Capital Subaru. Thanks, Shelby. You ready to get back on the road again?
Definitely. 2020 isn't canceled. It just looks different. Shop online, by phone, or in person. Your way at Capital Subaru.
Don't let the cold and wet get you this winter. Warm up to a season of heat with Grimm's Fuel. Grimm's has plenty of wood and heating oil ready to deliver to keep you warm all winter long. Stay warm and cozy with Grimm's Fuel.
Create a beautiful living space both inside and out with the help of Terra Casa.
Outside, you'll find pottery, fountains, and decor to make your garden unforgettable.
And inside, there are home furnishings and just the right accents to make your home warm, inviting, and most importantly, comfortable.
Terra Casa has a huge selection of merchandise to fit any home or budget. Plus, we still have all the unique and distinctive gifts that you have come to expect from Terra Casa.
Terra Casa in downtown Damascus.
The biggest sale of the year is on now. Huge savings on perennials, trees and shrubs, pottery, patio furniture, and more. Don't miss it. Our biggest sale of the year is on now. Al's Garden and Home in Woodburn, Sherwood, Gresham, and Wilsonville.
Well, it's fall, and we get a lot of viewers this time of year asking what to do with their hydrangeas. And so we figured we'd come out here to the expert. I'm with Kristen. We're out at Hydrangeas Plus. And Kristen, fall is the time to be pruning our hydrangeas.
Yes, that's correct. Well, we've got a couple different families and a couple different methods of pruning those families. But let's start with the macrophylla.
Okay.
This is the most popular of the hydrangeas, of course.
Right, the big mop head
big
types,
mop
right?
heads. And most of them bloom on the old wood, so that's why we have to be careful.
Okay.
We want to cut on this year's growth. I like to cut now because it's still green.
Right.
And you can really see where the old wood is versus the new wood.
Okay.
So I'm just going to go in here and grab a stem and bring it out so we can see.
Right, so the green is all the new growth.
This is all the new growth. This is the old wood.
Okay.
And so I would probably, it's going to be looking a little more like this. So we have a good node here,
right,
a good node here, and so I'd probably cut right about there.
Okay. So you can take quite a bit of the plant off.
Correct. And it will either be, I mean, it could be up to 2/3 or 3/4 of the plant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we'll take out some of the oldest, woodiest stems all the way down to the bottom, because that will help generate new growth,
Okay.
from the bottom.
And that new growth, you know, that you're going to start flushing, that's where you're going to get your blooms for the next year.
Correct.
So, you know, now this time of year, you know, my plants at home, I still have flowers.
I know.
On mine, so it's
it's a sacrifice.
Right. So it's really hard to be able to go in. But if I don't take those off this time of year, then I'm sacrificing the potential blooms for next year.
Correct. Right. But you can always use the old faded bloom heads for vases or a nice wreath for the front door.
Right, because I'll do that, because they'll start coloring up and get some nice fall color. So you can cut
Yes.
those off and use them and dry them and put them in a vase.
And still enjoy them.
Right. And now we have a couple other types of hydrangeas too that we'll want to go take a look at on how to prune those, because they're a little bit different.
Yes,
so
they
we'll
are.
head on down and
Okay.
take a look at those. Well, we're in a different part of the garden now, you know, and the neighbors are out working their yard too. You can hear the blowers going. But, you know, so we talked about the macrophylla, but then there are other types of hydrangeas too that might be pruned a little bit differently.
Correct.
So what is this type?
This is called the arborescens family. A familiar name would be Incredible, like this
Right.
one, or Annabelle.
Okay.
These are the native hydrangeas, native to the United States, but they bloom on the new wood.
Okay.
So we can really take these back a long ways, and it's not so critical that we prune them right now.
Okay.
So that's kind of why we haven't
so
quite
so you
gotten
could
to
leave
it.
these blooms up and enjoy these for the fall.
Correct.
And then these can be chopped down anytime throughout the fall, winter, or even early spring.
In the spring, yep.
Right.
And I like to cut these in the spring just because they don't get as floppy
Okay.
if I cut them in the spring.
And then there was another type of hydrangea too you talked about. You could do that too, the paniculata types, right?
Correct. And those are the panicle types, the cone-shaped ones,
Okay.
like Limelight is a popular name, Phantom, Grandiflora.
Okay. And then those are ones that you could prune anytime also.
Correct.
Okay. And now, you know, I've looked at your website and you have a lot of great tips and care and videos on your website.
Correct,
Right? So if
right.
people wanted to learn more about that, they can go to your site.
Yep.
And then, you know, if they want to see pictures, right?
Yep, we've got lots of pictures on site, and our Facebook page and our Instagram page are also full of hydrangea pictures.
Right. So people can still order, you know, you're shipping almost year round, right?
Yeah, around Christmas time it gets a little sketchy.
Yeah, you don't want to ship fully in the winter time,
Right,
but, you know,
yes.
but they can still get on and, you know, place their orders so that they're getting out there. And then you're also doing, you know, you'll occasionally do some sales.
Correct.
and
We'll
people
still
can come out
be
to the
still be open by appointment for sure. So always call or check our website for hours.
Okay. You know, so for, you know, more information on, you know, pruning hydrangeas and how to do that, make sure you go to, you know, Hydrangeas Plus's website, or you can go to gardentime.tv and we'll clip you over to their website. So, Kristen, it's always a pleasure to be out here and hear, you know, see all the beautiful hydrangeas. So we appreciate all the information. So
You
thanks
bet.
for having me.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for watching Garden Time today. And you know, Bartlett Tree Experts has a great website with a list on what to look for in dangerous trees. So please go to gardentime.tv and click over to their website for that information.
And for more information on today's show or any of our other episodes, go to gardentime.tv. Judy and I thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week on Garden Time.
The proceeding was a paid program of the Guston Creative Group and its sponsors.